I'm from Nigeria. I currently study in Sweden and in public health, masters in public health. I have a background as a physician, and it's been a good time studying here in Sweden, in Lund University. Yeah.
And hi, my name is Na, and I'm from Vietnam. And currently, I'm the second year student in the master program of media and communications. And yeah, so I have been here 1 year, but before I have lived in like Japan and also Austria before, so I have kind of international background a little bit. Yeah, it's very nice to see you guys here, even when I don't see you guys, but like I can feel from my heart.
That's great. So we just want to say that you are more than welcome to use the chat to ask any questions you want to these current students. It can be questions about language barriers or how to find best grocery stores or what clothes to where to buy clothes, etc. So please be active and use the chat.
Yeah.
But we're actually going to start with some questions already.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, how do you best get to know Swedes?
So for me, in my class there were just only like 2 Swiss, but I'm not very close to them, so I get to know the Swede like more in the activities outside the class, like language cafe, and also I went to some nations activities and I got to know them there. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
Yeah, my own experiences had like up to like 10 suites in my class. So it was actually easy for me to interact with them. And most times we have activity outside the class, and it actually gave me the opportunity to meet them, you know, in their, I would say, natural state.
Okay.
And
in the natural habitat.
Yeah, and I think I had 2 invites from my sweet friend to come over to have dinner, and so I think I had that first experience, meeting them, and it was a good one.
Yeah. No, in Lund, it's true that it could be challenging because it's a really international city and it's a student city with people from all over the world. But for me, I think I met my first Swedish friend here at the nation. So I joined a student nation and I was really active, and that's where I met them. I was also part of a mentor group, which I hope you are. Why not? And my mentors were Swedish. So yeah, I think the best way is just to join some activities. Yeah, it's kind of I would say it's harder to make Swedish friends. It takes a longer time to get to know them and make them your friends. But once they're just they're your friends for life. Yeah.
So how do you manage without speaking Swedish?
I mean, it's really easy to just speak English because everyone speaks English in Sweden. So you can definitely survive without speaking Swedish. However, it's nice to get to know some idioms and a bit of Swedish to interact when you order a drink or a cafe. I think it's always nice, but you can live without in Swedish.
I agree, because like the Swedish people, they can speak English very good.
Yeah.
But sometimes like I will try to speak Swedish to them, just like some basic conversation, like hey girl, something like that, or like tack så mycket, something like that. It will be very nice.
Yeah, sometimes when they hear you have an accent, they just switch to English because oh no, for you're trying, but you know.
Yeah. But I think my own experience is such that when they see you try to speak some Swedish, they tend to encourage you. Yeah, but of course you can always go by with your English, all around the place. You do really well.
Yeah.
And so we have a question if you have any advice regarding finding a part-time work with some basic Swedish, or if there are any student job boards, listings, or sites online where you can find part-time jobs.
I would say from personal experience, it's a bit challenging in Lund, especially because it's such a small city with a lot of students, so a lot of people are trying to find a part-time job. So if you don't speak Swedish on top of that, it's harder. But they exist. Like you can just go to directly to cafes and bars and just hand in your CV. I know people have done that before, people that I know. Otherwise, check LinkedIn, Blocket, which is a website that has little ads on it. Facebook groups as well. And check in Malmö as well.
Okay. My own kind of experience is it depends on if you want to make money in getting a job here in Lund, or you want to learn the Swedish work experience. For example, in my own case, I volunteered in a place where they do a language cafe. In that regard, I have some experience how things are done within the Swedish workplace. So you could also, adopt that method. Volunteer in a place. Then from there, you increase your circle of influence. You get to broaden your network. You know people and stuffs like that.
For me, I don't really have any experience on working part-time job in order to earn money. But then besides that, I do participate in some activities that just to earn the network and experiences and to get the contact with the Swede and stuff. So I had one experience that I went to the high school to talk with students in English and then encourage them to learn foreign language and stuff.
Yeah.
It was a very nice experience.
What are the best grocery stores to shop at? And also, where is the best place to shop for cleaning supplies? So 2 different questions, but still sort of lumped together.
Anyone wants to answer this?
Let's start with the grocery stores where we can buy food.
Okay, maybe I should share my own little experience because while I was coming in to Sweden, I felt, will I be able to find the kind of food groceries that I need to make my own kind of meal? But eventually I discovered that because my campus is in Malmo, the medical college, so there are grocery stores. For example, I can't remember the name now, but for example, you have all the African condiments, the Asian condiments, and if you want the halal food, the kind of meats, and vegetarian, vegan foods and all that. So I think you would do well. Anybody that is coming from any part of the world would do well to get anything they need in groceries, most especially in Malmo. So.
Yeah, and then the cheapest supermarket to go would be Lidl. I think they have 2 in Lund if you're going to study in Lund. Willys is nice as well.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite because they're the cheapest in terms of supermarket where you can find typical food, let's say. But yeah, about if you're vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, lactose-free, anything. There are a lot of options in Sweden in general, so it's really easy to find food that can accommodate your diet as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of supermarkets chains in Lund, like ICA or Coop. But for me, I would also go for Lidl because it's the cheapest one.
Yeah.
And sometimes I go for Willys because it's very big and they have diversity of food, and then the groceries and stuff, that you can easily find the things that you want to buy.
Yeah, Coop is definitely the most expensive, I think.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
And talking about cleaning supplies, like where can one find that?
I guess in the supermarket, right?
Yeah, you can find out at Lidl too, and there's particular one in Malmo called Orbs. They have good cleaning agents and
I would say that
toilet.
the cleaning supplies in Lidl are very cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can
compared
find
to-
in any supermarket.
Also adding to the grocery stores here, is it common in Sweden to have farmers markets or similar things?
Yeah, exactly. For example, in Malmo, there's this farmers market, like an open market, where you have your fresh fruits. It's in Molevagen. Every day they come there to bring fresh vegetables, fruits, and the like. So, and it's quite cheap. You get all kinds of vegetables that you want.
Yeah, in Lund, if you're studying Lund, I don't know if it's once or twice a week on Clemenstorget, so where the Coop is. There's a market with fresh fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. But
that's the only one I know.
I mean, like the price is like quite similar to the supermarket as well. It's not cheaper or it's not more expensive, but sometimes you should check it out. Yeah.
And a topic I think a lot of students have questions about is, of course, the Swedish winters. So what are the Swedish winters like? And then try to consider the difference between the northern parts of Sweden and southern parts, perhaps.
Okay, Swedish winter.
It's just a lot of rain. I mean, it's the south of Sweden, so it's not too. I think it gets cold. I don't know, up until minus 10 or something. It's like the extreme I've seen, I think. But we have sometimes a bit of snow, but not always. It's mostly rain. So get a raincoat, rain boots. That's the most important, an umbrella. It's not as cold as in the north of Sweden or even Stockholm. Stockholm is quite dry and cold.
Yeah, but here it's very humid.
Yeah, it's humid.
Well, and I think there are no bad weathers in Sweden. It's only when your clothing are not good. So, for example, I came from a part of the world where we have like a tropical kind of climate. And if you're talking about 5 degrees, it's actually very cold for me. So I had to get very good clothing, during this period of winter, to keep warm. Because in Sweden, if you go out in the morning, it could be sunny. And then maybe when you are coming back in the afternoon, it could be really, really cold. So you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. Which is very important.
Yeah, I have been here for only 1 year, and then like last year winter it was not really cold, and I will only like saw the snow for once. Yeah, but then like the temperature is never went down to like under 0 degrees Celsius or something.
Yeah,
it's not that cold. Yeah, but it's quite dark in the winter.
It still gets dark. Like the thing for me, the most challenging thing when moving to Sweden was the darkness, because I think you get like maybe 5 hours of daylight during winter at some point, and it can be challenging, especially when it's daylight. It's still gray and gloomy outside. So, I mean, I've been taking vitamin D supplements since I moved here, and it's been fine. But can be challenging as well if you come from a country with there's a lot of sun.
I remember like during November last year, we only had like 16 hours of the sunlight. Yeah. And at that time I started to take vitamin D. It's very important.
So I just want to mention that we see there are a lot of questions where you're asking about where to shop different items and different tips, etc. So I think it's better to take those questions to a different forum, because in this seminar we want to focus more on the cultural aspects of Sweden. So just wanted to highlight that. So we really welcome questions regarding the Swedish culture and cultural clashes and so on. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about if you've had any cultural clashes when coming here.
Before I came to Sweden, I used to live in Austria, and then for me, like Austrian people, they're very outgoing, and then they're really like loud and stuff. But then when I came to Sweden, like firstly, I expected that the Swede would be the same because they're on European. That's my assumption. But then they're very different. Like they really value the private space, and they rarely like initiate the talk with you until you speak up first. Yeah, so that is the thing that I experienced at first.
Yeah, I had a similar experience too because from the culture I came from, we are kind of expressive people, and we kind of loud, you know. So when I go to Sweden, I discovered that everybody's just like going on their own. It's until maybe when we have something in common or formal, that's when I talk to you. Then for example, in my own case, maybe in the class context, uh, during discussions and all that, I could be a bit more assertive, and my sweet friend will like, okay, okay, but you can't really pick if they really agree with you, in a way, and all that. So, that kind of balance.
And we were discussing this before, but in France, like I come from a culture where it's like we debate about a lot of things like all the time. We have to question everything, and so coming to Sweden and like being really opinionated and like coming with my arguments and so on, and then having Swedes being like, no, maybe we should think about this or that, like really being diplomatic, and it's a good quality. I think it's great, but sometimes you want to like hear their opinions, like what they're really thinking about, and not just trying to compromise with you. But I think for me that was kind of a shock, and sometimes I'm having a hard time with Swedes, but it's fine. It's fine now.
So what is the etiquette in public places? Like, is saying hi to neighbors normal? How about store employees? Like, or do people more keep to themselves?
I mean, people. I've been living in Stockholm as well in a private accommodation, and there people didn't really say hi to each other like But I guess I don't know. That's my experience. But I've heard this experience from other expats as well. But yeah, I mean, you say hi and thank you. Obviously, when you come into a store, that's kind of normal. But if you, I've lived this experience once. It's like when someone that you know but you don't know enough. Like it's not a friend. It's like someone you know, and then you see that person in the street. And then you can see that they're trying to avoid you because they don't really want to deal with the small talk. So I was like, okay, I guess we won't say hi then. But yeah, like I mean, I don't know if you have other experiences with this.
I also have this experience of maybe getting to a store or maybe like a formal setting in an office. In my culture, you're expected to say maybe good morning, exchange some pleasantries and all that. But I kind of like at times taken aback. They wouldn't want to answer like that. Like in my own culture, I will still need to greet you. Like 2 minutes, they're still exchanging pleasantries and all that. Like here, just tell me what you want. Maybe this is an office space. I need something. I need a service from you. Just go ahead and say, "Hey, good morning." I need to fix this. Just go ahead like that. No pleasantries, no extra things, you know.
For
Yeah.
me, my experience is totally different.
I can't help you with that at the moment.
So I'm sorry. Like for me, the experience is totally different. So, cause like currently I'm a student worker right now and working at the office. And every time, like every morning when I come into the office, I obviously hi with people, and they're also like greeting back to me very friendly and stuff. I feel very like welcome and like very ready to start the day.
Yeah, but I feel like I've had different experiences with. I think it depends if people have been abroad or are used to see international people and people who've never been really out of Sweden. Then it gets more difficult to have a contact with them.
Yeah.
Are there any events for cultural exchange here at the university?
Any what? Sorry.
Any events for cultural exchange? Like if people want to exchange cultures or learn more about.
Oh yeah, I mean, there are some language cafes, so you can. I mean, you exchange languages, but you can also talk about your own culture, obviously.
Yeah.
And there are a few in Lund.
Yeah, and there are also some like student association. Also, you can also go to like the nations and like make friends there, and then I think they are willingly to have culture exchange and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of student associations here are international, so it's really easy to meet people from all over the world, really.
Then I think most of the programs that the university have encourage multicultural inclusion and stuff like that. For example, in the student, what's it called now? The university bodies, you know, it gives us a platform to interact with people from all over the world. You know, you tend to meet yourself, you have fika together and stuff like that. And I think it's a good one.
So a few other questions. How do you feel, or how did you experience the relationship between professor and student?
This is one of the things that I experienced very different from here, because like I'm from Asia and then I used to study in Japan. So the relationship between professor and student, there's like a big hierarchy between them. So, and also like I always have to be careful when I email them or something, and I have to really focus on their title when I'm writing email and stuff. But here, like I feel like it's very flat. The hierarchy, there's no hierarchy at all.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking to them, and sometimes when I write the email, I just like condemn them directly without any title.
Yeah, because that's a thing as well, that it might be different depending on where you're from, but here we call the professors by their first names. And usually, you know, the first meeting they're like, oh, here's my email and here's my phone number if you need anything. And you can it's just really easy to contact them. And, you know, I've heard, like, then I've learned that some of my professors, like, they were going on national TV to talk about their topic and stuff, and then I'm just, I don't know, for me they're like, whoa, like, but no, it's just, they're just normal people, I guess. But it's really nice, and it's a different relationship, really. Also in France, where I'm from, there's a big hierarchy, and you don't really question what a professor is saying. But here, especially if you're a master's student, they really consider you as like a junior researcher, and they really want you to question everything. So they really take your opinion, and it's really good. Yeah.
I think it's the same for me too, because from the culture I came from, your professor is seen like a teen god, you know. in a way. So when I first came, I find it very difficult or maybe challenging to be able to adjust because I can't see myself calling my professor Martins, Annette, So it took me a while to be able to adjust to that. But eventually I did, and I discovered that it was a good model. It actually give you the courage to be able to express yourself, and they encourage you, the kind of idea you have. They don't say, no, 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 you don't have an idea. No, you bring your idea to the table and, they weigh it, and everybody's good at the end of the day. So I think it's a good model here in Sweden.
And I mean, in general, I feel like the Swedish university system, they really want you to succeed, like not because they want a higher ranking, but because they really want you to succeed as an individual and to be able to express yourself and become a better person. Like that sounds cliche, but it's just, I feel it's this way. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
A question about one of our favorite words here, fika. So what is fika really about, and where is it usually done? I think I understand what it entails, but I'm still a bit confused.
Fika is just like basically having coffee break with your friends, right? Having some sweet and then like coffee or like tea based on your preferences.
Yeah, it's basically like stopping everything you're doing. If you're working or studying, just take a break, have a cup of coffee or tea or like warm drink, usually with a piece of cake. It's always better, and just enjoy the company of your friends. And it can be done anywhere. It can be done in a cafe, or it can be done at home,
in the office as well.
In the office, like it's actually a thing I think in Swedish workplaces to have fika as well. It's a bit of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the like tea time in the UK, but it's a bit like this as well. It's really taking the time to talk about a different thing than work or studies, and just enjoy yourself and your friends.
Yeah,
and it's also a time to connect with your friends and even with your professors. Because the first experience I had with a fika was in my college. I was sitting next to the program coordinator. She just introduced herself to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is the college director, the program director." And like, we got personal. We talked about so many things. She has been in Africa, did some research, and I got to know her better and all that. So I think it's a time to connect. So
yeah, exactly. It's like bringing down barriers between people and just being together and talking on the same level as well.
Yeah.
And can fika be done every day, or is it more of a special thing to do?
No, every day, anytime of the day. Yeah.
That's all the Swedes do. We fika.
Yeah.
Can you find your favorite food in Sweden, or has that been difficult?
Yeah, as we said like earlier, I think it's really easy to find your favorite food, and especially we live in like Skåne is such a multicultural region, especially with Malmö. I think there are more than 80 different nationalities or something. So even if you can't find your type of food in Lund, you will probably find it in Malmö.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've been to like there's an Ethiopian restaurant. I don't know if Thai, Indian.
Exactly. So it's not difficult to find your kind of food. For example, like I said, when I first came, I thought I was not going to find my kind of food stores and all that. But there are African stores around, there are Asian stores. In fact, the first restaurant I had when I came was a Thai restaurant, and I love the food. And subsequently, I discovered some African stores, Asian stores where you can buy your spices, your food stores, your groceries, and you are home away from home.
Yeah, I think like even if you go to the normal supermarket here, you can see like a diversity of food. Like you can find the Asian section or like Hana food section in the supermarket. It's
Yeah.
very easy to find the food that you want to buy here.
So gender equality is big in Sweden, or we talk a lot about it. So how do you actually notice gender equality in Sweden? Or have you noticed it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a practical example, but I mean, I've never felt like because of what I was studying, or like in my study with my professors or something, I never felt like I was like less or that I was supposed to do something different because of my gender. Now it doesn't mean that gender inequality does not exist in Sweden. Like obviously they have some issues, but I think like society in general focuses more on the individual and what you can bring to society as like with your whole self. So I've never really felt any discrimination based on my gender, but I've never been harassed in Sweden. I mean, it doesn't mean that it never happens, obviously, but I come from a country again that it's harassed almost every day, or at least every week. But in Sweden, no, never happened personally.
Yeah. Then my own kind of interaction that have made me notice that there's gender equality is, for example, the train I first took from Copenhagen, I discovered I was a woman, driving the train. I was like, it's an unusual thing from my culture. You see men doing things that are hard.
Yeah.
So subsequently, when I got into the system, I discovered that, women can do virtually anything in this kind of environment.
Yeah, I was also surprised when I saw like the number of female students in the like LTH in the engineering school, because usually, I don't know, I had a vision in my head that it was like it was a really masculine environment, but I've seen a lot of female students in engineering. Yeah.
So it's not limited to one gender. You find women doing this, men doing this, and particularly some of our professors would tell us that I just came back from a paternity leave. I was like, that doesn't happen in my country.
Yeah, like paternity leave, like that's something as well. It's like in a lot of countries, like here it's called like parental leave. So it's like dads have to take, or like it can be the same sex. But I mean the other partner has to take minimum like 3 months of parental leave. Yeah. And even if they don't take it, then it's lost. Yeah. So it really kind of not forces, but it really encourages both genders to take their part in raising the children.
And speaking about like gender equality, like I would also say about the LGBT community here, they're very like encouraged, and Sweden is a very open country for that. Like they approve everything like same-sex marriage and stuff. Yeah, I think that is very nice.
Talking about something completely different. So Swedes are sometimes rather famous for being punctual. You need to be on time. Is that something you've experienced as well?
Yeah.
And is that something different compared to where you come from?
Exactly. Well, let me talk about my experience. From the culture that I came from, it's like, it's a norm when you get to a place like 15-30 minutes late, which is not good. No, I don't have that culture, because the way I've been trained, the kind of work I do as a physician, I get to my clinic very early and all that. So that has been in me. But when I got here, I think I was able to cope with the good timing, In fact, some of my prof would say, you're early and all that, So, but there was this cultural difference in my own country. even the professor will come very late to class, like 15 minutes late and stuff. So but that is different in Swedish context.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you have a meeting with the Swede and they say, oh, let's meet at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
They really meet 3 p.m. Like, I mean, I always know that when I'm going to meet with a Swede, I have to be there even like 2 minutes early. Otherwise, they will think that I don't really consider their time, and they think that because then they will think that my time is more important than their time. So in a way, it's really good to be on time. Although there's this thing in Lund that is called the academic quarter, then classes usually start like 15 minutes later. Now I don't know with the online course like classes and the corona and stuff, like it's good to be on time. But usually, you know, it's like this, but it's only here.
Yeah, it's actually the same because like last semester I had to take all the courses online and they still like do the academic quarter. Like the class start like 15 minutes from the schedule.
So the question everyone is wondering also, how do you actually date someone in Sweden? So dating is always an exciting topic.
I mean, okay, how do you date? Usually, I mean, there are apps, obviously, but usually, like, you know, in other countries, like, oh yeah, you kind of like someone, then maybe this person will ask you on a date, and then you have like 3 dates, and then maybe you're like, oh, should we be something else? Or I don't know. But here it's more like, oh, you meet, and then, you know, maybe later you will start dating and doing things together. So it's more like straightforward, I would say. I don't know if I'm able to say this, but I know that like Sweden, I don't know if it's Norway or Sweden, but they're not far from each other. And they have the most like one night stands per capita. So, you know, that tells a lot. But but yeah, like it's just that's how you do a thing. I don't know. It's just you meet people, and then maybe you will start seeing them again. You will start picking berries and so on, like with friends, you know.
Well,
that is, I don't know because I don't have any experience.
yeah, same here.
But and well, I have a Swedish partner, but it's, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a bit different. Like it's not. It's a bit different. Like I guess for like the traditional American way of dating. That you know, and also it's like since it's such a equality country. Like you know, there's no so much different between should a guy pay for a date or usually everyone pays for their own thing, their own drink, and sometimes even the girls like ask a guy for a date or they pay for their drink. Like, also.
Okay, so we're gonna have the final question now because we're running out of time, even though this is very exciting to talk about. So if you're out on a dinner with friends or on a date or you're multiple people out eating, how do you split the bills here in Sweden?
We just split it equally. Like sometimes like one person will pay the amount and then we will like transfer the money to the person.
There's an app in Sweden called Swish that like everyone uses, and basically someone will pay just the bill and people will pay them back.
Yeah, but sometimes you can also tell like the waiter that you want to split it.
Yeah, usually it's never a problem. To split the bill in to pay with different cards. No,
separately or something like that.
Okay. So we want to say thank you to the panel. Super interesting listening to your experiences.
Thank you for staying.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
And best of luck finding your Swedish way. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.